Léon Bloy was a French Catholic writer and literary unperson who claimed France may exterminate any nation it chooses fit to see fit, who wrote books no one bought, and whose The Desperate Man insulted a plethora of contemporary writers, including his own friends, making him a literary pariah ignored by a conspiracy of silence, as he himself put it, until his death, living off of alms, blaming the self-same conspiracy for the deaths of 2 of his children. One must understand that Bloy writes not to delight but to shock and insult. The man who called the telephone an irresponsible vehicle of depravity opened his Desperate Man with the phrase, "Dear Sir, when you read this message I shall stop murdering my father." Bloy led a miserable life, had a miserable childhood, and his writing career was miserable if only because he poisoned himself via his attacks on luminaries and even his own friends on the literary scene. If an obscure writer starts calling Émile Zola a cretin, it's not likely he will endear himself with the masses. Bloy initially wrote The Desperate Man early in his career, a process that eventually involved 2 publishers, the eventual publisher apparently not making money by taking on Bloy, and dying in poverty years later, according to Bloy's own words, being an echo of what was to happen to Bloy himself. Given that, his 2 collections, Sweating Blood and Disagreeable Tales, came out in an environment where the author was already a pariah, which meant that any non-French speakers had to wait until the turn of the 20th and 21st centuries to see them in print. Sweating Blood came out originally in 1893 and was a callback to the disastrous Franco-Prussian War of 23 years prior, which led to the shameful defeat of France, according to Bloy, and the creation of the German Empire. Bloy writes stories of gruesome slaughter, cannibalism, despair, and hopelessness, that the French peasantry are all more or less open collaborators and supporters of the Prussians, where the military is incompetent and idiotic. The hatred levied onto the Germans in this book is beyond compare, making of them little than outright devils loose from hell, the most telling of these probably being the story of a German officer forcing a French priest to celebrate Mass and give absolution to his German troops if he would wish to avoid a wholesale slaughter of the entire village. Pathetic beings such as the dung collector make their appearance, and can do little but be a momentary distraction while men suffocate and rot knee-deep in mud. Some individuals do get momentary gruesome revenge against one or more of the Prussian officers, but it all is for naught as the Prussians slaughter and rape their way across France, when, according to Bloy, they could have easily been stopped and cut down if the French military was at all competent. It is quite astounding, then, or perhaps a testament to Bloy's writing, that not only are there German admirers of Bloy, but amongst them ranks Karl Schmidt, the anti-libertarian jurist and political theorist called Crown Jurist of the Third Reich. Disagreeable Tales came out a year later in 1884. Just like in the previous book, we find here 30 stories, none too long, which describe the depravity of the inhabitants of Paris and mock sensibilities and traditions. But in this book, Bloy's vitriol seems partially spent. There are tales which end rather abruptly due to the fact Bloy never wrote short tales that were very long, but where the war gave him room for twisting the knife without much build-up. There are simply some tales here which lack the oomph and visceral nature of the best of Bloy's writing. The most typical of these examples is The Telephone of Calypso, which, apart from being a manifestation of Bloy's distaste for the telephone as immoral, has nothing much to offer beyond a divorced and broke wife calling up her ex-husband to offer to have affairs with him. Yet there are still many tales of vile cruelties, monstrous births, insane writers, or the miserable tale of a husband and wife whom cruel and devious destiny has inspired to keep prisoner in their hometown, seemingly by mere coincidence, every single time they tried to leave, for whatever reason, for a decade and a half. It is thanks to the tireless efforts of Wakefield Press that Bloy's writing finally has made its way to English-speaking audiences. Those of you who have heard Pope Francis quote Bloy that, "Whoever does not pray to God prays to the devil," I beseech you, don't let his Catholicism turn you away. Bloy does not write religious tracts, nor does he write satire, despite how it would seem from such clever names as Orthodoxy Panard, or Fiacre Pretextat la Barbarie, which he gives as characters at various points in his books. Bloy writes the total sum of human filth written on a dirty napkin in a corpse's left pocket.